Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. And today we'll be looking at something we're not usually looking at, which is the NFL. So I know this video will get like 2 views because obviously most people who subscribe to the channel are here to listen to election predictions. But um, you know, I'm gonna take 8 to 10 minutes out of my day to fill out this bracket because I like brackets. I think they're a lot of fun, and because I have some hot takes this year about the NFL playoffs. So um, first of all, unlike the rest of my content, this is going to be like insanely biased because I hate a lot of the teams here, and my team, the Seahawks, is in the playoffs, which may or may not have influence over the predictions I make. But yeah, let's just get into it here. We'll start with the AFC and we'll work our way to the NFC here. So, first wild card game: Bills versus the Dolphins. I don't really see a path for the Dolphins in that game. I think the Bills are going to be fine. The Dolphins did beat the Bills in week 2, but that was when like half the Bills defense was injured, and I I think a few Bills offensive linemen missed that game, and also Miami's playing. They've lost like 5 of their last 6, and they're playing a lot worse now than they were at the beginning of the season. They have flashes, they have potential, but with Tua maybe not even playing, I just don't really see it for them. Bengals Ravens, similar thing here. I think the Bengals are going to beat the Ravens, and I say that because they're at home. They're just really hot right now. Like they're hot at the right time. Joe Burrow, just fantastic right now. Like I think past weeks has been potentially outplaying Josh Allen. I'm a big Josh Allen guy. But my point here is that they're at home against a Ravens team where I think Lamar will play, but he's banged up and he hasn't been great in the playoffs to begin with. Last year he got injured, they didn't make it, but in 2020, uh, they did not play well. They, won. I think they won his only playoff game, but they got beat pretty bad by the Bills in the divisional round, if I remember correctly. And then prior to that, they had a 14-2 season where hyped to win it all, and they got decimated by a wild card Tennessee Titans team in the in their first round. So the Ravens are inconsistent in the playoffs. I don't trust them as much as I trust the Bengals, who they've only really had one good year, but they're already proven I think they're the class of the AFC, at least among that. Chargers Jags, this is gonna be a really fun game. Seeing Herbert versus Lawrence will be great. I think the Chargers are a more talented team, and and I think the Jaguars have, they're hot at the right time, all that stuff. But I think a lot of their wins come against teams that really aren't that good, and the Chargers are a much better team. That being said, they're at home. I really like Trevor Lawrence a lot. But there's always gonna be one wild card win. I think it's gonna be the Chargers. I think Herbo's gonna get it done here. Wouldn't be surprised if the Jags win though. This game I think is gonna be the most fun to watch on the AFC side for sure. Now let's go over to the NFC. Let's talk about this. So first game, Tampa versus Dallas. I mean, I think that this game could like catch a lot of people sleeping because I know everyone expects Dallas to win, but they played really badly against the Commanders last week. And, betting against Tom Brady in the playoffs is never a great idea. That being said, they're a much better team. The Buccaneers just have not played well at all this year. They never really had any like stretch where I'm like, impressed by them. Um, they're 8-9 out of a terrible division. They're not a good team. I think the Cowboys are going to take it here. And then let's go Giants Vikings. I think that this game I'm really not sure, but like out of all these games, this is like the game I go back and forth on the most. I was going to take the Vikings originally, but screw it. You're going to take the Giants here just for fun. Um, I think that you could get a lot of really interesting matchups out of this game because you're looking at kind of Daniel Jones trying to torch this Vikings secondary, and they've been inconsistent. And I think that the NFL's kind of memed the Vikings into frauds. I don't think they're frauds. I think that they've earned, they've had a lot of close wins, but I think they've earned most of those. Um, Even if their record is a little better than maybe it should be. And I also think the Giants are a bit overrated. Like, they had an up year. Brian Dable's a good coach. Daniel Jones, I like the guy. I think they're a solid team overall, but the hype is a little too much. I know everyone's picking them to win. I think I'll go with that because I think Kirk Cousins is just not that good of a quarterback, and I've been on this train since like 2017. That being said, don't really have any strong feelings here, but I'll just pick the Giants because a lot of my friends are Giants fans, and Daniel Jones for the win. Now, wild card, you already know I'm taking the Seahawks here. And this is like the one pick everyone looks at me like, dude, what are you thinking, right? And here's the thing. This is my logic for picking the Seahawks here. Right? Like, obviously, I'm a Seahawks fan. My Twitter profile picture is literally Geno Smith. So, there's that. But here's my thing. The 49ers are obviously the better team, right? Like, they're at home. They've been playing really well. They haven't lost a game in like over 2 months. Like, they're just lights out right now, right? You know, like they're the Bengals of the NFC. They're just haven't lost a game since, 1983, right? The issue here for the Niners is that they beat the Seahawks twice during the season. You might be thinking, well, that's just proof they're going to win, right? You know, they beat them twice. They're going to beat them again. The thing is, divisional rivalries are really weird, and it's really hard to sweep or to go 3-0. Like, it's hard enough to sweep someone in a division, even if they're like worse than you. Going 3-0 is a lot to ask, right? Which is why a lot of these things I'm skeptical about, right? Like, the Niners will beat the Seahawks 2 times out of 3. I don't know if it's 3 times out of 3. I really don't. And I think, you have Brock Purdy leading the Niners out here. I like Brock. He's a good story, but I really think he's just kind of being propped up by this offense. And like, if they need to drive, like, fourth quarter, they're down by 3 or they're in a tie game. If they need to drive, I don't know if Shanahan's going to be able to scheme up, like, unless he has, a crazy good game plan, which, he might, to his credit. I don't know if I trust the Niners here. A lot of it's bias. I'm a big Hawks fan. I will not deny that, and I think the Niners could obviously go out here and just destroy us. But I got a feeling, and I think also my predictions. I wasn't a Hawks truther before the season. I had us going, I think, 6-11, right? So I was never, big on this team, but I've watched them play all year. I think they're a solid team. I think they can go toe to toe with a lot of better teams, and they did it in week 13. They didn't, we didn't beat them, but we lost by 1 possession, and we're playing better now than we were then, because like we just beat the Jets and the Rams, and I don't know if we would have beaten the Jets in week 14 the way we were playing back then. So give me the Seahawks here in the upset. Now, Chargers versus Chiefs. I go back and forth on this. I think the Chargers could win, but I'm not going to pick against the Chiefs though. That's the thing, right? Like, again, it's kind of similar to the Seahawks-Niners game where the Chargers lost the Chiefs twice during the regular season. They're obviously the inferior team here, but are they really, going to go in 3 against them? I don't know, man. I mean, the Chiefs are a weird team, and they, tend to kind of repeat themselves in the sense that, like, Joe Burrow owns Patrick Mahomes for some reason, but Mahomes has owned Josh Allen in the playoffs at least. And so, it really goes back and forth for me. That being said, I think I'll pick the Chiefs here. I just think they're the better team. They're at home, and I think they're going to win at least one playoff game. Bills Bengals. This is the game of the game of the season. Excuse me. Could be game of the century. Although Chiefs Bills last year was pretty crazy. But here's the thing, right? Like, the Bengals are, I think, a team that has like more upside here. But when you look at how this Bills team has played, they knocked out the Patriots by 12 points. They played pretty well against the Bears, I would say. I think they beat them by like 20-something, right, in Chicago in pretty bad conditions, right? Like, this Bills team, I think, gets a lot of undeserved hate because they, Josh Allen will make you screw up and people will talk about it, right? But, like, end of the day, they're at home. They have the better defense, and I think Josh Allen's just getting a little underrated right now. And I think last year he was getting a little overrated. This year I think he's underrated, and I think they go out and they are the team that beats the Bengals. So give me the Buffalo Bills there. Now, NFC divisional. Unfortunately, it's over for the Seahawks. I'll give the Philadelphia Eagles the win there. Look, I like this game to me is a bit me being optimistic. I don't think we're going to beat the Eagles. And I said the Niners are a better team, but they're not, going to go 3-0 against us. Eagles could beat us 3 times in a row, and I would predict that to happen. They have a better roster overall. They're at home. I think Sirianni and Hurts are a really iconic duo in the sense that they're going to scheme up things that confuse the Seahawks defense. Because, like, the Seahawks defense will play, like, they can be a good defense at times. Like, they played well against the Jets and the Rams. And they actually, holding the Chiefs to 7 points, or I think held them to 10 in the first half. Like, they had good stretches against the Chiefs, They've showed a lot of promise in the final 3-4 weeks of the season. And to me, that's not what I'm worried about. I'm more worried about the offense being able to keep up with the Eagles' offense because, again, if Philly drops 24, 30 points, can the Seahawks really, can Geno Smith, who just, I love Geno, but we only scored 19 points against a clearly inferior Rams team. Can we do that against the Eagles? I don't think so. Yeah, I just think it's too steep of a climb, and without like the divisional, dynamics at play, I think the Eagles are going to beat us pretty bad here. Giants, Cowboys. I don't really. I don't have any pause in that one. I think the Giants are, a decent team. I think that they could eke it out against the Vikings. I'm kind of going with that because that's whenever that's what the smart people think. But I don't see the path for the Giants to beat the Cowboys. I know there's been a lot of hype about this team as of late, but I think the Cowboys are going to come out playing angry after they got beat pretty bad by the Commanders, and I think they're going to come out here and go to the NFC Championship. So, Final Four: Bills, Chiefs, Cowboys, Eagles. This is going to be. I think the Bills beat the Chiefs. I think they get it done. It's at a neutral site. I think that goes to the advantage of the Bills. The Bills did beat them in Kansas City earlier this year, although again that was beginning of regular season. Things can change, and again, it is hard to go 2-0 against two evenly matched teams. It happens at times. It happened with the Bengals and the Chiefs, but I don't know if I like that if I'm a Bills fan. But that being said, I think the Bills are just a more evenly balanced team. The Chiefs have more upside, clearly, as do the Bengals. But the Bills, I just trust them more. I'm sorry, I trust them more. They were right there in 2021, and they were 11-6 back then. I think they were making watching the Bills last year. They lost a lot of close games that they really let get away from them, and I think similar thing cost them in obviously big time in that divisional game. I think this year they've tightened up a bit. I think they're more disciplined, and I think when you watch this team, they just seem a bit more experienced and a bit more there. So give me the Buffalo Bills to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Although again, I know a lot of people like the Chiefs more than the Bills this year. Now, Cowboys, Eagles. I'm sorry, I can't take the Eagles here. I can't take Jalen Hurts to go to the Super Bowl in his first, or not his first, not first year in the NFL, but he's been second year quarterback. I like Jalen a lot. I think he's really good, but I don't know. I mean, Joe Burrow did it. Mahomes did it in his second year, but I just don't know if I want to bet on it. They got. I know Hurts didn't play, but they got exposed by that Cowboys team, and the Cowboys dropped 40 on him. In week 15 or 16, whatever it was. And I think they can do that again because, again, Hurts doesn't play defense, guys. You allowed 40 points to them. And I think the Cowboys are going to start rolling here, and I think they're going to get hot at the right time. Hot take, I know. I think a lot of people really like the Eagles this year, but I got to take the Cowboys. I think they're just more balanced. I think their defense is going to play better than people think, and I think that Dak Prescott's going to have a really good postseason. Comes from someone who hates the Cowboys, by the way. So let's go here. Final matchup, Super Bowl. As I said, I hate the Cowboys. I hate them in the Super Bowl too. I think the Bills are going to win it all this year. I really like the Buffalo Bills this year because I think they're one of the most balanced teams in this playoff, right? Because a lot of these teams are just I think the Niners you can make the case for, right? Niners and Bills being the most balanced, but the Chiefs and Bengals are offensive teams. That's their identity. A lot of other teams don't really have that identity, and so I think maybe the Eagles and the Niners, the only other teams that I think are as balanced as the Bills. But again, I have constraints to those teams. I think both those teams are a little inexperienced. I think especially for the Niners, Brock Purdy, I don't know if I trust him in a playoff game. And for the Eagles, they got exposed by the Cowboys. To me, that defense is showing on the Eagles' part, which is to me really, really disappointing. And I lost a lot of faith in them after that. So I could be overreading it. I could just be taking the Josh Allen pill when I shouldn't be, but I think he's going to have a good January, February, and I think the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl, which, I'm okay with that. I think it'll be cool because, it'll be the first ever championship. I like this team a lot. I like Stephon Diggs. I like Josh Allen. Matt Milano is one of my favorite defensive players. It just sucks that Micah Hyde's out and, he won't be able to play with them. But either way, I'm okay with that outcome. But obviously the best outcome would be the Seattle Seahawks. But I think everyone watching this knows that's not likely to happen. So that's it. This took 14 minutes, so I'm not going to edit it. I don't really have patience to do that. But that's my bracket. Let's see how wrong I am. Let's see something stupid like the Ravens going to the AFC Championship or the Vikings winning it all. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all the next one, which will probably be an election video, but I just wanted to make this. So, yeah, Bills winning the Super Bowl.